Has someone ever cried when they saw their finished product from you?
You know what? Yes, they have. And one story was really tough because I actually captured one of the last moments.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. And just like a song, a picture can motivate you, make you happy, and it might even bring a tear to your eye. Katrina Sutton is an award-winning photographer, which I'm going to get into a little later. I had the pleasure of meeting Katrina at an event hosted by Bill, Stacy, and Melina and their kids, the Fundraiser Warriors. I met a lot of amazing people at the event. Katrina was one of them, and I'm happy to have her here today. She was hired to capture the moment at that event. So, Katrina, welcome to Real Talk with Star Scorpio. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
having me on.
Of course, of course. And when I met you, I was like, watching you taking pictures, my wife and I were setting up the centerpieces,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
was like, you had this aura around you. And I was like, let me just introduce myself and say, what are you doing and things like that. And then I asked you right away, I'd have this podcast. Would you consider doing it? And you said yes.
Of course I did. Of course. Why would I not want to?
Yes. Okay, Katrina, with Real Talk, we like to build the timeline. We like to get a history here. So, first, where were you born and raised?
So I was born in Mississauga, born and raised. I
Hmm.
lived there basically forever, and I recently only moved to Oakville in 2020. So I've been in and around the same area, still visit the same neighborhoods, just different
Hmm.
grocery stores,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
still from the same area.
And so you've seen the development of Mississauga because I used to go there back in the days. And if
It's
you were,
crazy.
yeah, it's
It's
so
crazy.
busy there now.
On everywhere is busy now. It's
Hmm.
crazy how much busier it is today than it is like back when I was growing up. But
Hmm.
it's amazing. Like it's so nice to see that there's all these developments and stuff coming up.
Hmm.
Traffic sometimes gets to me,
Oh,
but it is what it is. It is what it
yeah.
is.
Around the square one area, what do they call those buildings? Do
The
they, the
Marilyn
Mer
Monroe Towers. Yeah.
Yes. Do you live near there or no?
Well,
Or
I was
did, I
living
mean,
with
did you?
my parents, and my parents live over that way. They're more in like the Streetsville area, so not too far from there.
Yeah.
But I bought like one of my first condos that I bought was in Square One, and
Oh,
it's literally right there, like it's right beside the Marilyn Monroe Towers, just in a different building.
yeah.
So yeah, but it's
Oh,
crazy. It's so busy there.
that's a good investment. Like if you bought it back in
Yeah,
the day, that's a
yeah.
great investment.
It was
Yeah.
a while ago. Don't want to
Hmm.
age myself here, but it was a while ago.
That's one of the things I do on this podcast. I'm like, I ask people, do you mind if I age you? And if you don't, then it's okay. Here's the question, because I want to learn about high school, like what subjects you excelled in and things like that. But
Oh
if I
God.
say this, what era did you grow up in
I don't, that's a tough question. Like
for high
music
school?
era or like, hmm. I, when was I in high school? I think I was in high school in it must have been the late 2000s.
Oh, you're young. You're a youngster,
I
Katrina.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like mid 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're still young, Katrina, because I'm a '90s kid, born in the '70s, and
Okay, okay.
yeah,
So I was born in the early 90s.
yeah.
And I think I was in high school probably like the late 2000s. I feel like my math isn't too horrible. So I
Mhm.
think that's probably where I landed when I was in high school.
Okay, and now speaking about math, so what subjects were you good in back in the days?
Honestly, I sucked at English. Still
Yeah.
do.
Oh
Still
wow.
do.
Hmm.
Don't ask me to write a story. Like the punctuation, everything will be off. I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah.
sorry. But I was really good at math,
Oh, okay.
surprisingly.
Yeah.
Math, and I did a lot of business courses when I was in high school. So I
Okay.
did a lot of that kind of stuff back then and didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I stayed away from like English science.
Yeah, yeah.
No, no. My mom is Filipino, so she's Asian, and math was good enough. Math
Mhm,
was good enough to keep her happy. As long as I was in my math class and I did that, usually they want you to be in like the math, science, all that kind of stuff. But I was in math and that was good enough. So it
mhm.
worked.
Oh, wow. Wait, so you mentioned you're Filipino. You're mixed with you're Filipino
Yeah, my dad's Scottish.
and Scottish.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
nice.
we're mixed.
You have siblings?
No.
Oh, like my daughter, only
Yep.
child. hmm
Yep.
How was that growing up?
Loved it. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
It was the best.
Yeah.
I mean, truthfully, I had a lot of cousins growing up that were
Yeah.
around the same age as me. So I didn't feel like I really missed out on anything because I would sleep over at my cousin's house and, do fun stuff like that. And I found that I was a lot closer to my friends growing up because I didn't
Yeah.
have a lot of siblings. So I
Yeah.
found like a few close friends, like some of them I'm still friends with today,
hmm
that I really like spent a lot of time with, this whole sleepover thing with and stuff like that. But, I didn't have to fight with anyone for
Yeah.
attention. The Christmas presents under the tree were all mine. Well, I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved it. It was great.
Yeah. So anytime I interview someone that's an only child, like I always like telling my daughter, you gotta listen to this interview. Here's another one. But yeah, that's cool. So yo, back to high school though. Did you have the home ec? Because these courses really helped us when we were, especially when I was in junior high and high school. But did you have the home ec classes and the art and the photo? You didn't have that in high school?
Well, you know what? I shouldn't say that. I do
hmm
think we had them. I just never took them. So I
Oh,
never took any of the artsy type classes. I remember I had to take one arts class, and I think I did like a drama class or something like
okay.
that.
Yeah.
But I never really studied it until like my past, like my newer life now. But when I
Yeah.
back then, I think I mainly did like math and business, and that was what I focused on. And then that's what I did.
Okay. So now post-secondary, where did you go to? Wait, what high school did you go to? I want to see if I know it.
I went to St. Joe's.
St. Joe's. There's so many St. Joe's around
There
Toronto,
are.
Mississauga.
Well, I did my grand year, I went to Holy Name of Mary, which is like an
Okay.
all-girls school. So I
Yeah.
did that for the first year, and then they ended up moving their campus to Brampton, and it was
Okay.
just too far to commute. I actually enjoyed it,
Okay.
but because it was so far, my parents are like, "Okay, that's a bit too far. You're not going there."
Mhm.
So I switched to like my home school, which was St. Joe's, and then graduated from there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So now post-secondary. So you're saying you were taking business courses. What did you take? Where did you go and what did you take in post-secondary?
So I did like a little bit of a zigzag for post-secondary. I started off at the University of Toronto and I started taking social studies, psychology, that kind of thing. And after a year, I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I stopped there and then I transferred to Sheridan and I
Oh.
started trying to learn business because, I did a lot of business in high school and thought it might be something that I like to do.
hmm
So I went to Sheridan, finished my business program there, and then transferred to um, the university. I'm blanking for a second. Thompson Rivers. I'm like, where did I go
Okay.
next?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I went to Thompson Rivers University and I did my degree online for business. So I didn't have like the traditional, you go to school, you finish your degree. I kind of did a little bit of a zigzag because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do when I first started.
Yeah, that happens a lot though. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
I always talk about my daughter. So she is 24 now. She got her psych degree from York.
Mhm.
But when our dog Abby passed away, something clicked in her and she told my wife and I that she wants to be a veterinarian. So right now she's in Guelph. So she already has her degree in psych and now she's gonna do the vet thing.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, sometimes you find your passion late in life too.
Yeah.
And that now, so this is what I want to now. Let's get into it now. So, some people touch the stage and they tell a joke and they never look back. Some people bake a cake and say, "Hey, this is what I love doing." When did your interest in photography start?
Well, mine started by accident, really. So I was working my full-time job and I was working as an analyst, not surprising, went to school
Yeah.
for business and math. So,
Yeah.
was working as an analyst and I was looking for a side hustle,
Okay.
looking for something to try to say, okay, like what's something else I could do on the side? and then COVID hit. So perfect timing to learn a side hustle, right? Like you have
Mhm.
all this spare time on your hands and all this stuff to basically the world is your oyster at this point because all you have to do is sit at home. So you have
Right,
so
right,
much time to learn something.
right.
So I was talking to one of my girlfriends and she really wanted to partner up and do business together. So
Okay.
we were looking at all this stuff. And one of the things that she kind of did well, taught me how to do was to make jewelry. So we started making jewelry together. And one of the things, like one of the gaps in our knowledge was photography.
Okay.
So I bought this $500 camera and neither of us knew how to use it or what it was or anything like that. But I was like, okay, you know what? I'll try to learn how to use it and we can take product photography and do all that. As we started getting to that stage, things started opening up again. We tested the market. It didn't really work the way that we anticipated it to. And we were like, you know what? We had fun doing it, but let's just cut our losses.
Okay.
So at that point, I had this $500 camera and I'm like, I don't want to waste it. Like I spent some time trying to learn it and I tried selling it. Funny thing is I actually tried selling it on Facebook Marketplace. And I was like, you
Okay.
know what? Like I gotta recoup this investment somehow. I'm not just gonna blow the money. I'm gonna try to make something of it. And no one wanted to buy it. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay, like this kind of sucks. So
Yeah.
I'll give it a go. So this was in like 2021, mid 2021. And I was like, you know what? Let me just like do some fun stuff with it. So I started taking pictures of my friends,
Okay.
learning how to use it, what the settings are. And one of the things that I loved about it was when my friends saw the pictures and they loved it because it captured a memory, it captured a moment, it captured
Yeah.
a laugh, it captured a moment with their dog or a moment with their parents or just something. And they just were happy. And
Mhm.
that's when I realized that that's what brought me joy in the photography world was making people happy with the moment being captured. So after that, I started getting really into it. I said, okay, like I'm going to start learning. I started studying at Sheridan again
Oh,
and I
wow.
enrolled in the photography program there. And I was like, I really want to start learning and investing lots of time into growing.
Hmm.
So I actually started my business by accident
Wow.
because I needed money to
Yeah.
buy my equipment that I wanted
Yeah.
to buy because, some of you will know photography is not a cheap hobby to have.
Mhm.
And I wanted to get better quality stuff. So I started posting these ads on like Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji and whatever,
Mhm.
looking for people to do cheap photo shoots for so I can make a little extra money to upgrade my gear or to buy this or enroll in that course or whatever.
Mhm.
And this was in I guess I accidentally technically started my business September 2021.
Okay.
By October, November, December, I was just consistently getting booked. Consistently, people were booking me. My Instagram page started blowing up. I was really investing a lot of time into learning, and all that practice was really helping me grow because it's really not about how long you've been doing something, it's been how many times you do something. So,
Yeah.
because I was doing shoots every weekend, I was doing multiple people, I was, on the weeknights, I was working on learning how to edit and watching all these videos and had so much stuff to learn
Yeah.
that it just forced me to learn so much faster. So then in October, end of November, it feels like it just flew right by where I said, wow, like I could really make this a business. And then I looked at registering the business and getting everything started because I'm like, I'm collecting money now. I need to start a business because it's
Yeah.
not just this little thing anymore. It's actually something that's starting to grow.
Mhm.
And then I took January to March was really slow for me. So I took that time to really hone in on my skills and
Yeah.
invested in workshops and training and learning from other photographers, local photographers, and, investing my education at Sheridan and taking a bunch of more classes. And that's what I think really shifted my growth.
Mhm.
So once April and May of this year started, I really just catapulted because I spent so much time studying, growing, learning that when things started to pick up again, I was ready to kind of encompass all of that change that came with it. So my business technically is really only a year, a little over a year old, a year and a couple months old, but
Yeah.
it really started by accident and then just turned into something I could have never, ever, 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 ever imagined that it would be, especially in the time that it did.
This is amazing. So you invested in yourself. That is a great story. And this is just the beginning for you, and it looks like you're doing really well for yourself. So that's nice to
Yeah.
hear. Thanks
Thank
for sharing that. Yes, thanks for
you.
sharing that. Um, so now when you talk about equipment, so that first camera you bought, you said $500, right? Did you do your research on it or did you ask? Because I don't know if you said that. Did you do a lot of research before you bought
A
it or you just
little,
went?
a little. I mean, I looked at camera brands and then I went into the store and I said, give me a camera that's, $500, which there's probably no, there's like two options. So really, I had like two or three options there. Couldn't
Yeah,
slim pickings.
yeah.
But I mean, it worked. It did the job for what I was looking for at the time. It was just something that I could learn off of basically in a
Mhm,
very entry level, like very something like a hobbyist would have, not anything comparatively to what I have today.
mhm.
So it was just kind of fluky. Like I just kind of went to the store and said, hey, I'm looking for this. And the guy just kind of handed me this and said, hey, pick one or two. And I was like, all right, let's try that. So
Yeah, nice. And along with the equipment, so the lenses and things, you have the lighting, you bought like how many things did you have to buy to establish yourself in, the
I don't want
studios?
to talk about how much I spent. That is way too much. Well, you
But
know
you
what?
registered the
Truthfully, like
business, right?
it's
So
it is. So I started with my first $500 camera when I was in like, June, July, September, October is when I really started.
yeah.
I upgraded my first camera in December because I
Okay.
actually got busy enough that I could afford to purchase like, my high professional level camera that I still use now in
Hmm.
December, which was great.
Hmm.
And then I bought my first really nice lens in November. So because I was so busy, I was able to upgrade my equipment so quickly, which also helped me grow really fast. And then after the slow season started in April, May of this year, I really started acquiring my arsenal and I
Yeah.
started just building everything that I have. And now I do have a good kind of a whole thing that I can kind of work with here where I have, external light boxes. I've got different lenses that I can use, different flashes, backup cameras, all that kind of stuff. So it definitely was something that I'm continuing to grow. I still have stuff on my wish list, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But I definitely have more than enough now to do my job. The things that I have are more wants, not
Okay.
really needs.
No. So, you also travel, right, to do photo shoots. Where in the GTA or where's the farthest you've been to meet someone to do a photo shoot?
The farthest I've been, I would say, is probably like I mainly service Halton. So I mainly
Okay.
service Oakville, Burlington, Mississauga, Milton. Like that's where I go all the time.
Hmm.
I have a few clients that are out in Toronto for events. So I'll go out to Toronto sometimes. I do take weddings. So I do have some weddings that are in St. Catharines or in like Guelph, Cambridge, or I think like the farthest one I've done was somewhere in like Marsville, which is a little bit further out of the way, somewhere not
Yeah.
that close. It's probably a few hours away.
Oh, wow. Hmm.
But other than that, like I don't really travel too far. I mainly stay. I'm busy enough in my hub, which I'm grateful for. And
Yeah.
then really the traveling is more so for just weddings if I have something booked that far out.
Yeah. So local. That's good.
Yeah.
So you've only been doing it for, like you said, like would you say a year? Because
Yeah, so I started in 2021 and now it's December 2022. So I started at the end of 2021. September, I think September is when I posted my ad, and October was when I physically actually made it a business.
Mhm. So now this leads me to the question because you've been recognized, so you've been doing it for a short period of time, but I'm going to list a couple of things and I want you to explain what that was about, right? So you've been recognized or featured. So the first one is the Community Votes Oakville 2022 Platinum winner. What was that about?
That was something that my gracious clients completely just nominated me for. And I was so grateful. Like I got this email one morning I woke up from this email from this place called Community Votes, and I had no idea what it was.
Mhm.
I didn't know. I'm like, is this spam? Like,
Yeah.
what is this? And then I opened it up and I saw like you've been nominated for Oakville's top photographer. And I was like, wow, like people actually nominated me for this award. And I had no idea. And when I started looking into it, I was like, wow, this is actually legitimate. Like it's actually something where you can win an award based on the community voting for you. And after I found out, I still to this day have no idea who nominated me. I don't know if
Yeah.
it was one person, if it was multiple. I still have no idea.
Mhm.
But I ended up just sharing that link on my show on my socials to say, hey guys, like I've been nominated. If you want to vote for me, please do. And then within a few weeks, I ended up finding out that I won platinum, which was the highest level that you could imagine. And I was completely shocked. Like I
Mhm.
still don't know who those kind souls were that decided to nominate me in the first place for it to even be possible. But yeah, it just all of a sudden happened and my community just came together and threw votes together and ended up giving me that first spot, which I think I cried. Like I think I
Wow.
when I actually saw it, it was so surreal. I was like, is this really happening? Like, is this actually, are they voting for me? And then, yeah, I was just so grateful. And then because I had won, I ended up doing like a couple giveaways and doing a couple fundraiser things just to kind of, support the community, which
Yeah.
was a really good way to kind of made me feel good for giving back to the people that really helped bring
Mhm.
that success on because there's no way I could have done it on my own.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great.
Congratulations on that. Um,
Yeah.
Good things happen to good people. I have another one here because I don't know these things, but also it was, sorry, I'm just looking for it. Oh, you were featured in Unscripted. Can you let me know what that is?
Oh yeah, that's honestly, if there's any photographers that listen to your podcast, it is
Mhm.
like the go-to app for everything. It is something that we all invest in to get posing, to get further education, to it helps us like with resources and sun trackers, and it's just such a great tool that was built for photographers. And one of the things that we do that they have on there is you get to submit your photo
Yeah.
and they feature it.
Okay.
So it's honestly one of the greatest things. Again, I don't know how I got featured because my first feature happened probably like 3 weeks, or like, it was probably one of my first like 30 photo shoots that I had
Yeah.
done professionally. Like it wasn't one photo of my friend, it was actually like another branding shoot I did for another photographer.
Mhm.
And that photo ended up getting featured. And I was so shocked. I was like, oh my gosh. Like it was shot on my $500 camera. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
even shot on, the fancy gear that I have now.
Yeah.
Um, but it was shot on my very cheap camera that I just had started with. And this photo got featured. So I was super excited about that. And, it was something that I shared in one of the Facebook group communities that I'm in for photographers. And a lot of them have said, like we've tried for the last year and still haven't gotten featured. So I thought
Wow.
that it was really cool, really awesome, and just goes to show that it doesn't need to be all about your gear, that, you can be working with something that's not as expensive or not as up to par as someone else and still have great results. So it was
Mhm.
good.
Amazing. This is amazing. I like hearing these stories. Um, I have one more, but before I ask about this one, it seems like photography brings you joy too. Like this is like turned into a real passion for you then.
Oh yeah, like it was a passion by accident. It's something that I didn't know that I liked. And
Mhm.
I think what drives me and what I love about it is capturing the moment and then having people be happy afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Who
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
like it? Who doesn't like having a nice picture with their loved ones, whoever that may be, whether it's a friend, a family member, a
Mhm.
pet? Like, it's just, it brings me joy in that sense. And I
Yeah.
didn't know that it would until I started doing it. So,
Amazing. Mhm. Okay, here's the last one I'm going to ask because there was a multiple recognition that you received, but here's another one. Lensational Model and Photographer Magazine. What was that one about?
oh, they actually messaged me on Instagram. So I had posted like on my feed, I'm posting constantly all the time.
Mhm.
And this magazine had reached out to me and asked me if they could publish one of my photos.
Yeah.
So I asked my client, I'm like, hey, this is actually really cool. Do you mind if I use your photo? And they were all for it. They ended up buying the magazine and like sending it to their friends and stuff
Oh,
like that, which was so cool. But yeah, that one just stumbled in my inbox. It was like, hey, we're a magazine. We like your photo. Can we
mm.
use it? And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, let me ask my client first.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it ended up working out, which was really cool.
Oh, that's so nice. Okay, before I started recording, or even I don't even know it was when we were recording, the busiest time of year. So one of my questions is, what's the busiest time of year for a photographer? Because I'm thinking Valentine's Day and Christmas, and even those occasions like Halloween. Some people like to capture those costumes they wear. But from your perspective, in this year that you've been doing it hardcore, like, what's the busiest time for you?
Fall.
Fall. Okay.
Because the leaves are beautiful and everyone wants those beautiful fall colors.
Hmm.
So, and it's such a short window. It's such a short span where the leaves have changed color and
Hmm.
before they fall. So this year we got really lucky with fall. It was beautiful. The colors were phenomenal. It was something so great. Um, so this year for fall, I think I had people booked at 9 a.m. I had people booked at 5 p.m. I had people booked after work. Like it was me just trying to squeeze everyone in
Yeah.
and just try to get as many people done as possible during that time before all the leaves started to fall. So it was a really beautiful fall. And I think any photographer will tell you fall is the craziest season by far.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Um, you shoot everything. So you shoot families, couples, weddings, pets, branding, products. So I got some rapid fire questions for you. And it's not really rapid fire where you have to answer like right away. It's nothing like that. But but when you answer it, I want you to explain it. So what was your most challenging thing to shoot?
My most challenging. Um, I think all of my firsts were challenging. So my first family was challenging. My
Okay.
first couple session was challenging. My
Hmm.
first branding session was challenging. And every one of my firsts were challenging. And I think that's because I was learning and I'm still learning so much today and still growing.
Hmm.
So I think from one part of that question, all of my firsts were my most challenging.
Hmm.
But I think circumstantially, one of the hardest things to do is when all the kids are crying, it's nap time, no one's been fed, and
Yeah.
everyone's cranky, and all mom and dad want is one good picture of everyone looking at the camera and smiling, and
Yeah.
it's impossible.
Yeah.
And at that point, you just kind of have to roll with it and play off of their moods. And, we try the bribes, we see what works, we see what don't.
The
But I
bribes.
think
Wait, sorry, you said the bribes, eh?
yeah, we do. We do, like you get to do this after the session, or,
Yeah.
we got Smarties in the car if you want them, or,
Yeah.
you pull out all those stops to try to get them in a better mood. But I think those are probably the most challenging is, you can never control kids or the weather, so you never know what to expect. So you just
Mhm.
kind of got to roll with it sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, that was a good answer. You're first. I like that. You ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Photo shoot that takes the longest time.
It's a tough one. I mean, I think the answer is weddings because a
Mm.
wedding could be a 12-hour day
Yeah.
and you're just like running and you're go, go, go the entire time because you don't want to miss one single moment. So I think those are probably the longest and trickiest.
Hmm.
Um, I offer a wide variety of services. So I do stuff that are like quick mini sessions that are 20 minutes. And, you come in, you do a few photos and then you leave after. I offer, 2-hour sessions for people that want to do kind of the whole storytelling experience from start to finish.
Oh, I like that.
And then offer, like event coverage. If you have an event that day, I can come and take photos for you so you don't have to worry about that.
Mhm.
And then the wedding. So I think weddings for me are the longest, the 12-hour days. And then you go home and you sleep for another 12 hours because you're just like,
Yeah, yeah.
because you're so go, go, go for that full 12 hours that when you get home, you need to literally sleep for 12 hours. So those are my longest for sure. But
Mhm.
definitely there's other things that fall into that category, some events and some family sessions that sometimes are a little bit longer too.
Yeah. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
One of the best locations to shoot.
Hmm.
Because
That's a
wait, so you know, if you think of Ontario, any province would be a good, like, we got the mountains out in Calgary, even things like the downtown scenery, the CN Tower, Niagara Falls. So things like that. What do you think is the best location to shoot?
honestly anywhere outdoors that has a beautiful backdrop. And by that, I mean, it could be a waterfall, it could be like a gardens area in the fall, it could literally be the forest across the street from your house because
Mhm.
the colors have changed and it's beautiful regardless of where you are. I prefer shooting outdoors. I like being outside more than I do like being in a studio.
Mhm.
So for me, it's really anywhere that has a beautiful backdrop.
Yeah.
Uh, I've started to create a bucket list. So I'm starting to kind of create a bucket list of things that I want to do and places I want to go and things that I want to shoot and, start
Mhm.
filling that out. So I think that's going to be one of the things I try to work on next year.
Yeah.
But I think for me, like the funnest ones that I've done so far is waterfalls.
Mhm.
So waterfalls in the summer and the winter, even because the
Mhm.
winter is just beautiful with everything frozen in place and it looks so great. So waterfalls are one. Two are definitely gardens with the flowers during the springtime.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. And then three, fall, beautiful colors.
Mhm.
I can't narrow it down to just one. I can't.
Yeah. You know what? You answered my next question. I'll tell you in a minute. But what I want to ask you though is, when people recommend your services, do they say, "Hey, do you know a good place to shoot?" Or do they know where they want to shoot?
Honestly, it depends. Like some people have an idea or they have a vision and just don't know where that place is.
Mhm.
I personally always help with location scouting. So
Yeah.
I have, in my back pocket a few places that I like to go, and some of them are hard to get to, some of them aren't too bad. So, depending on the vision, we can try to make something work.
Yeah.
So usually I'll help with the location and pick stuff out, but sometimes people have specific spots that they want to do stuff. So like I did a proposal, the few proposals that I've done have obviously been their location. So
Okay.
they've scouted it out. They know where they want to go. I'm just there to capture the moment.
Yeah.
But then I also have a lot of families and couples that are like, hey, I just want something that looks like this, or this is what I want, and then we'll go.
Mhm. That's part of the fun too. Just looking for a place, or even when you have the place in your back pocket and people are excited when they see it. Oh my gosh, you knew about this place with a nice
Yeah.
backdrop.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. It's so true.
But you know what? You answered my next question. So
I'm
it
doing that.
was it was studio versus nature, and I see nature was your answer for that one. And you explained it. What about this one? Has someone ever cried when they saw their finished product from you?
You know what? Yes, they have. And one story was really tough because I actually captured one of the last moments. And that was one of the hard things because, you know, she took photos, it was family photos. And then before you knew it, one of the people in those photos wasn't there anymore. And I delivered that gallery, and a few weeks after it happened. So that's something that, is so hard to hear for anybody. And that
Mm,
was something that was really tough. But it just goes to show how important everything is. And, she was so grateful that she even got it done because she didn't even know if she wanted to.
yeah.
And then, because she did, and now she has this memory forever, I think is priceless in my opinion. So, people have cried tears of joy, but then they've also cried just because it's something that it's such a sad thing to say, but I don't know it, but sometimes I do capture one of the last photos of somebody. So it's crazy
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah. I actually never thought about that. Wow. Mm. Um, wow. That's special. What what's your favorite thing to shoot?
That's a really tough question.
Mhm.
But I think my answer is the toughest or one of the best things that I love to shoot is love. So whether that's love between a family or love between two people or love between you and your pet, like that to me is my favorite thing to shoot. Is just love of some kind. And
Yeah.
it's just so much fun seeing like the interactions. Each family is different. Each family comes in and each parent knows what to say to get each kid to smile and
Mm.
how to tickle them to make them laugh or how to
Yeah.
flip them upside down so that they'll have fun and enjoy the experience. So for me, it's just capturing love. Like that's why I shoot a kind of a whole portfolio of different things and I don't just shoot one or two things because for me, what I love is shooting love. So for me, it's just, love comes in so many different forms that you can shoot it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't really have a true pinpointed niche because I can't pick. I can't. Don't make me pick. Don't make me, don't make me do it.
No worries. I like that answer. Um, wow. I know you're a dog lover. Do you like shooting animals?
Oh
Dogs,
yeah, I
cats? Yeah.
absolutely. So one, I'm allergic to cats. So
Oh,
cats are maybe a not too much of a no-go.
yeah.
I mean, I can be around cats, I just can't touch them.
Okay.
So if I touch them, then I start,
You break out?
yeah, my
Yeah.
eyeballs just start blurging and it's not fun.
Wow.
But dogs have a special place in my heart and they always will. I have my own pup. She's almost 14. God love her. And I do a lot of kind of like charity fundraising and stuff like that for a few dog rescues that are local to here. So
Oh.
dogs have a very, very special place in my heart. But they can definitely be challenging
Yeah.
during the photo session
Yeah.
because even if you have treats, sometimes it's hard just kind of getting their attention.
Mm.
Even today, I had a couple pups in the studio and they were just so excited and so happy. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's just too much energy and they just need to slow
Yeah.
down for 1 second so that I can take a picture. Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. Always bring your dog, always.
Yes. Nice. Do you remember when you got that confidence? So you've gave me a good synopsis or summary of your photography life. But do you remember when you got that confidence to tell someone and you weren't afraid to give direction on poses and angles? Because sometimes in any profession you're in, like the cake baking example I gave. I remember when my wife first started because we had a cake business for over 20 years. And if you're sitting down with someone, you're just listening to what they say and things like that. But you might hear something where, no, you should go with buttercream, not fondant and things like that. But you don't say it right away. You just, go with what they want. But it's not good to do that. So in photography, the confidence in saying, yeah, I need you to turn this way, that way. When did that come for you?
Honestly, I don't know. Like it
Yeah.
just happened. When I first started doing sessions, I literally would spend the entire night before I had a session and
Hmm.
I would like look at poses and I would write them down and I would say, okay, what do I want them to do? How do I want them to look? Is there almost like a story that I can tell with the poses to make sure it makes sense?
Hmm.
So I studied when I was doing photo sessions. It was like a test, it was like an exam. So I would
Yeah.
study and make sure that for the next day, whatever session I had planned, I would be ready and prepped. And
Hmm.
then all of a sudden, there was a day where I just stopped studying.
Hmm.
And eventually, because I had done it so often and started learning the different family dynamics or started learning the different couple dynamics, I started realizing what worked well with kind of like the different types of people that walk through the door.
Hmm.
So I truthfully don't know because I think before I just would always study and I would always kind of have this plan in my head of everything that I wanted to do. And I used to have this like cheat thing on my phone where I'd have like all these pictures that I wanted to do. And I would just say, okay, like this, if I'm blanking for a second, I would just go to my phone and say, okay, yeah, this is like the photo that I wanted to do next or whatever.
Hmm.
But eventually it just got to a point where I stopped needing that.
Hmm.
And I think with each of the different niches that I did, as I did each niche more and more, I started getting more confident and more comfortable to a point where I started skipping parts of my story and realizing that that was still okay because I have this other idea that popped into my head because I saw it somewhere, or, I saw it on my Instagram feed and I wanted to try it. Or, there's been times where I've tried stuff and it didn't make sense and it
Yeah.
didn't look good. And I'm like, okay, noted, not trying that again.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the next thing. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I still do that today where sometimes I post someone and I'm like, you know what, I don't like that. We're just going to switch that and we'll do something else.
Yeah. Are you your worst critic too?
I would say yes. I think, you know, as an entrepreneur, you're always so hard on yourself
Hmm.
because you have so much pride in your business and so much love and hard work and so much energy put in that when something doesn't meet a certain standard or where something isn't where you want it to be, you're just so hard on yourself even if the circumstances aren't in your favor. So
Yeah.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So, what I used to ask people, this is one of my last questions I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to change it up. So, I used to ask people to give the listeners advice on someone who's going to give up on their dream or they're at that breaking point. I used to ask to just share some knowledge of experience, but I want to gear yours towards photographers. So, do you have any advice for that up and coming photographer who's just starting out with their phone and they haven't bought the equipment yet and they want to make that investment and they don't know if they want to do it? And then sometimes they stop early. But do you have any advice for someone getting into the business?
Just keep going. I mean, that's like the best advice that I could give. I think with this industry, it's definitely a lot of people say oversaturated, and there's a photographer on every doorstep, and everyone knows one, which is probably true. It is definitely something that's a lot more full than some other industries. But I think the beauty in that is that there's so much opportunity, and that's why there's so many of us here.
Yeah.
So I think, one thing is keep going. When you think, when someone tells you no, or when someone doesn't choose you and picks someone else, don't worry. It's okay. It happens to every single person. No matter if you're a seasoned vet who's been in it for 10 years or if you're just coming out of the gate. And don't be afraid to ask for help. So one of the things that I learned entering this industry is that this is actually a very community-based industry, and
Hmm.
a lot of people want to help each other and watch each other grow. And there's so many photographer meetups that I've been to where I've met local photographers who have just taught me things that I didn't know before. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I didn't realize about photography specific was that there's so many great things that you can learn from other people, and there's so many people that want to help you and want to learn and grow with you.
Hmm.
So definitely take advantage of the community for sure.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, Katrina, we come to the point in the interview where I have two cards. My hand mix it up a little bit. It doesn't mean anything, but you're gonna point to, well, let me know. Do you want me to read out this one or this one, the right or the left?
Let's do the left.
Hmm. A lot of people have been choosing this one by chance.
Really?
Yeah, it's by chance though. What is one of the most memorable moments of your life?
Oh, that's such a tough one. How long do we have? How long do we have? Um, and do I only get to pick one moment?
This
Uh,
is open. You can do what you want to do.
I think I've had tons of memorable moments, and it's really hard just picking one.
Mhm.
There's memorable moments that I've had with my family, who I'm really close to, that I
Mhm.
love, that I will cherish forever.
Yeah.
And it's just sometimes it's just funny things that we've done or silly things that we've done that I literally are memories that I hold close to my heart.
Mhm.
Um, like especially when I was a kid. My parents used to tell me the craziest things, and I still remember those crazy things today. So those are memories that I'll always remember and cherish and love. But then there's also memorable things of achieving and accomplishing goals that I never knew I could.
Mhm.
And those also hold a very special place in my heart. Like something memorable was even starting this business, graduating school, achieving certain milestones in my career. Those are all such memorable moments. So this is such a hard question to me to
Yeah.
pick like the most memorable moment. Um, but you know what? I think one of the most memorable moments for me was seeing how happy my parents were when I bought my first house.
Wow.
So I bought my first house when I was 22, and that was a huge milestone for me. It was a goal that I had that I always wanted to work on.
Mhm.
And they were so happy and they were so excited for me. And it definitely was not easy. Like I worked to the bone and I saved so much and I sacrificed so much to get my first house. I was like borderline poor. I had my first car was a $500 Honda Civic. Like
Wow.
that's what I was driving around to
Yeah.
be able to afford my house. So I think that was something that was like really a memorable moment for me because I worked so hard, and then to see them happy for me was just better than whatever achievement I accomplished.
Yeah.
So I think that would be one of the first ones for sure.
Amazing. Yeah. Anything that makes your parents smile makes you smile too, you know?
It's so true, so
Mhm.
true. How the tables have turned.
Yeah. Okay, Katrina, you know I also do this because I donate to a charity after every episode. And I remember when we first messaged each other, you said you had a charity in mind. So who will Star Scorpio be donating to on episode 3?
So I think it should go to Kerr Street Mission, and they are this amazing charity located here in Oakville. Especially with the holiday season coming up, the donation will definitely be very well received.
Mhm.
They do toy drives during Christmas time to make sure that all the kids in our community get toys. They do a lot of food donations as well and put together care packages for families not just during the Christmas time, all year round, but especially during Christmas. So the donation there will definitely go miles and miles and miles away. So I think it's a great cause.
Okay. So Kerr Street Mission, right? So Star Scorpio will be donating to Kerr Street Mission for season 5, episode 3. Katrina Sutton, thank you for coming out today. This is Real
Thank
Talk with Star.
you.
Oh, yes, anytime. Real Talk with Star Scorpio, season 5, episode 3, and we out.